This program attempts to treat certain aspects of leadership which are rarely thought about in Sri Lanka. We know there are many training programs, especially in the private sector, to form young leaders, good managers with managerial skills and leadership skills for the private sector. And there are others. We have also some training for the public service. How effective it is, I do not know, but we have institutions doing that kind of training. But we have seen, and I'm sure all of you would agree, that this country has been traumatized by many waves of violence since independence. Before that also we had, but that was a different story. Beginning from 1971, we have come right down the road with various types of violence engaged in by the young people of this country, in the south, in the north and east, and everywhere. So we have to think why this has happened. I'm not going to do that analysis here. I'm sure a lot of you have already thought about it, and some of our academics have written and thought about it and talked about it. But today we have arrived at a point in our history where we have almost reached a point of no return as a country, as a society. We hear that the economy can't go on for more than a few weeks. We hear that people have no food, that we are going to have severe food shortages, worse food shortages than we have now, that there is no fuel, that there are going to be electricity cuts, the government announces. On the other hand, COVID is raging around the country, and our young people are leaving the country by hordes, even those who did not want to leave earlier. So we think very briefly that there has been something wrong in addition to the other socio-economic, cultural problems that the very specific Sri Lankan identity has posed for all of us since independence, that there is something very seriously wrong with those who have led this country. Of course, I hasten to say not all those who led this country, because I happen to be one of them, but there is something wrong. So we believe that the young people, I suppose you know that 60% of our population is under 40 years of age at the moment. Or is it 60% of our voting population? Yes, 60% of our voting population is under 40 years of age. So that is everybody over 18. And it is that group of people, that is you, represented by you here, in a small number, though it may be, who will have the responsibility of leading this country away from the morass we have fallen into and to achieve those dreams that all of us have for our country. We have, in Sri Lanka, we have the potential to be one of the world's greatest small island nations. We proved 2,500 years ago, at least, that we could do that. But today, apparently, we are the second poorest country in the world from 200 nations. We have a police force which has been identified as the most corrupt in the world. A police force which was highly respected all over the world some decades ago. We have a public service that is extremely corrupt. Of course, I won't talk about the politicians, the 225 in parliament, who probably can give training classes to other politicians who would want to be corrupt. in the world. So it is a very serious situation, and we believe that some of you from amongst the youth who want to learn, who want to lead, this doesn't mean that all of you must lead the country, all of you must go into parliament or provincial council or whatever. You can lead in your whatever sectors you choose to work in the private sector, in the non-governmental areas, in civil society, in the professions. Even the professionals today in this country, a lot of them severely lack ethics. But there are others who are good human beings. So this course, to be brief, attempts to, on one hand, give you and give the young students who will follow you afterwards the skills, overall skills in management, in managing any affairs, whatever profession you may choose, to be good managers. And there is another section of this training program which is focusing on transformational leadership. I'm not going to describe what that is. I suppose Dr. Sunil will talk about a few words about it. Leaders who can transform their societies in such a manner that their country will become better. To build a better Sri Lanka by transforming what you think is wrong, what you think is not working. So I would say this is the very first time in Sri Lanka such a training has been undertaken by anybody. We are hoping that our program will give you the skills first to analyze, to understand problems. Why the situation is like this? Not only in politics and in government. Why is it that doctors are exploiting their patients? Why is it that lawyers are exploiting their clients? A case that can finish in 2 court days, they drag on for years. Why? And so many others. So analyze the problems. It is not in the hearts and minds of individuals only. Just by building a good leader, a nice human being with good ethics, with management skills is not going to suffice in the present context. We have to have people who understand the deep-rooted causes of what is going on in this country, and then secondly, reflect, discuss amongst themselves, and come to conclusions as to what the solution should be, and then to have the skills to be able to implement them. Those skills would include high levels of leadership qualities. All of this requires invariably and essentially good ethics. We expect all leaders to have good ethics. So that's what we are hoping to do. We cannot do everything. This is just a beginning. This is just a little peep into what a good leader should be, a transformational leader. And before I finish, I must say that is also not enough. Say we build 200, 300, 500 such good leaders, and that is possible in this country. We have the potential. But that also won't be enough if we do not have the systems and procedures functional, operating in the country, within the government, within the governance structures that would facilitate the kind of country we want to build. I will just elaborate on one point. We are all talking and shouting against corruption in this country. That has led this country to total bankruptcy at the moment. I will prove, and I can go on saying it, but I'm not going to start now. that this country has become bankrupt because of the extreme corruption of its leaders for the last 15, 16, 17 years especially. So, to resolve that issue, I hear many people, many educated people, many caring people say, "Api honda nayakayo hoya ganna one. Honda nayakek vitarak hoya gattara madi." That is the main point. But also those nayakayas are somebody else on the side, some more senior people or whoever, with help from outside, has to evolve systems which will not permit corruption. Take the Western countries, for example. Take how they manage it. Just because in the UK, this is a recent big fuss that is being made, the Prime Minister of the UK had some jolly parties in his official residence during lockdown, when everybody else was supposed to be locked down in their homes. It has come to a stage where he has to resign. He may resign one of these days. Just for that, because he broke the rules that everybody else was supposed to follow. That is how ethical leaders should be. I don't know whether this particular man is going to be ethical enough to resign, that's another matter. And that is how a proper system works. That is how democracy works. So we have to have that kind of system to ensure accountability. Today we are shouting about everybody shouting so and so was responsible for the church bombings 2.5 or 3 years ago. No action has been taken. The government appointed a special committee which is supposed to have given the report why these gas cylinders were exploding. They have identified why. We know why. And they have identified the 1 or 2 people who took those wrong decisions. But they have not taken action against anybody. If I was there, I would have jailed that person. I have done such things. That person should go to jail. So many dozens of people have died because of that wrong decision. So, therefore, I'm trying to impress upon you that we need good leaders on one hand, with all the skills, with the ethics, with the right hearts and minds and attitudes, but we also need systems and procedures to be designed and to be ensured that they are implemented. So that has to be done by someone else, or with all your participation. We have to have the people's participation in designing such things, because up to now 1 or 2 people up there have designed these things to suit them, and they don't work. So all this is just to tell you that if we want to live in a better Sri Lanka, you have to be good leaders, our youths have to be good leaders, you have to take the responsibility, and then